This game is capturing the indie spirit like nobody else and creating something that I genuinely think could be a breakout hit if they play their cards right. They are completely funded by their own community via Patreon and are actively turning away publishers, with a quote on their website reading that we believe that honest, meaningful games can find their audience on their own. We do not sell creative freedom nor control over our projects. We build our games the way we believe is right, with honesty, independence, and without external pressure or the desire to please the market. These guys are making a game that AAA studios wouldn't dare to make, and today, I'm diving into what I can on this brand new tactical FPS. Ladies and gentlemen, if you like what you see, leave a like on the video, subscribe for everything FPS related. This is Status Entropos. Status Entropos is a tactical FPS being built on Unreal Engine 5, and to call this like an alternative to Battlefield I think would be a little bit unfair. They have your basic team deathmatch mode. It's a 12v12. We know what team deathmatch is. They also have a raid mode, which is interesting. It's a 12v8. It's an asymmetrical mode where one side plays as attackers and the other as defenders. The mode is a multi-stage operation with sequential objectives, including reconnaissance, locating and extracting a data storage device, and then evacuating with the data. It actually sounds really cool, and it's something we don't really see a lot in games. We also have 24v24 Invasion, which I think is where a lot of people are making the comparisons to Battlefield. Large-scale military operations with sector capture. It's essentially conquest. And then they have a 4v4 skirmish mode, which is just kind of a local CQB engagements of small groups of fighters. And the thing that immediately jumped out at me is that it's leaning hard into systems that most modern shooters have quietly walked away from. Fully destructible environments, limited respawns, which means a slower paced game, and a class structure where your role actually matters beyond what gun you spawn with. This isn't a game that wants you sprinting nonstop and farming kills. It actually wants you to think about positioning, how you enter buildings, about what happens when you blow a wall open, and now that entire angle exists for the rest of the match. I've seen some creators equate this game to the Battlefield title that we have always wanted. Now, I wouldn't go that far just yet, but when I hear how the developers describe these features, it already puts itself at odds with how most AAA shooters are designed nowadays, which is a good thing. Before we get into this real quick, if you guys like this deep dive industry conversation, I've got two places you might want to check out. More Big Fry is my second channel where I put longer form discussions that don't always fit cleanly onto the main channel, more reactions, more tangents. And I just launched Untapped. It's basically that same lens, but focused on the tabletop industry, Magic the Gathering, D&D, business decisions with companies like Hasbro and Wizards of the Coast, design trends, and a lot of the same problems that we see creeping into the gaming space is showing up over there too, and I wanted a spot to talk about that because that is another passion of mine, and if you guys are into that stuff, both are linked down below. All right, let's talk about Status Entropos. The destruction, I think, is really the core pillar of this game. They're not framing it as this huge spectacle. It's actually framed as utility, which in my opinion is like the exact opposite of what we got with Battlefield 6. Walls, cover, structures, none of it is static. You are expected to breach and reshape the maps. You can deny positions. You can create new lines of sight, and it's not just surface level destruction. That kind of design, in my opinion, changes how players are going to behave. Automatically, right off the bat, I think it's going to slow things down. I think it rewards coordination, and I think it just punishes that like autopilot sprint around corners movement, which is good. If you push without information or without your team, the game is very comfortable letting you die for it. And again, deliberate design choices like this that are at complete odds with the AAA space, which is good. On top of that, Status Entropos is built around a fairly heavy class and specialization system. So you've got multiple base classes, each with their own subclasses, and those choices affect not just your loadout, but how useful you actually are to your squad and to the rest of your team. And this is where I think the ambition starts to show a little bit. There's 15 subclasses, which which is a lot to balance, a lot to, you know, onboard and tutorialize. I don't even know if that's a word. And it's a lot to keep readable in the middle of a firefight. You know, when we're talking about Battlefield 6 and how some of the skins and the monetization and the cosmetics make some classes hard to read from a distance, imagine 15 subclasses on fucking top of that. The balance, I think, here is going to matter so much. And for a small indie team, that's kind of a hard task. And this is where I think the broader industry conversation comes in. I can be excited about Status Entropos, while on the other hand, understanding that what they're doing is some of the most ambitious stuff when it comes to multiplayer networking, when it comes to the balancing of things, when it comes to the amount of QA that this is going to require to actually make sure the game is in a solid state when it comes out. This is such a huge feat for an indie team to make. So instead of taking those risks, this is where I say, like, I find a lot of AAA studios just tend to water down their experiences so they don't have to deal with that amount of effort and work. And, you know, those are massive studios with so much more resources than an indie team like this. So it makes me wonder, like, there's obviously a gap in the market, but is an indie team going to be the team to be able to fill that gap? I want to hope and say yes, you know, but man, I find that this is where that ambition and that scope creep, that's where a lot of indie shooters tend to stumble. This isn't just ambitious in one system, it's trying to do so many things at once: destruction, subclasses, multiple modes, a large weapon pool. I think they're touting over 100 weapons, all in multiplayer. Early access doesn't give you much runway, and first impressions in a multiplayer game, as we've talked about on this channel for years now, you can't hide behind that early access shield. First impressions are everything. Now, when you go over to their website, they do have a roadmap that tells you exactly where they are in development, how much money is being spent on every feature, how much money needs to be earned to be able to implement certain features. This is exactly the kind of transparency that you want to see from a studio that is taking money from their community on Patreon. This is exactly why we didn't do this. Keeping up with a roadmap and delivering and giving that level, not even of the transparency, but that level of communication is already hard enough for an indie team that most likely doesn't have like a PR team or a marketing or anything like that. That community engagement already impresses me more than like 95% of studios. As of right now, what we can see here, the game is currently sitting in pre-alpha, which has been in progress, and it says that's Q1 of 2025. They have Q2 2026 set for their alpha. The main goal of the alpha version at that point is to move to dedicated servers and run the game 24 hours a day. If you do subscribe to them on Patreon for $15 a month, you do get a Steam key to be able to play the game right now. I have backed them on Patreon at the time of recording this video. I haven't received my key yet because I literally backed them like 3 or 4 hours ago. It takes a little bit of time for them to process it, but I will be able to check out what that demo looks like in the near future. But eventually they're working towards getting dedicated servers up 24/7. This is another reason why we didn't do multiplayer, because they say here they rent additional dedicated servers, keeping the online game running 24 hours a day. This is expensive, and they have a long road ahead of them to be doing testing. It blows my mind the money that developers spend on dedicated servers, and these guys are going down that route, and I wish them the best for real, but I just know how expensive that is going to get in the future. But this is a really cool roadmap. It shows when they're expecting beta, which at the current moment is to be announced. The game is planned to grow content and advance mechanics, but they really don't have a date on it yet. They're taking it slow as they earn more money through the years, which is really cool. The transparency on display here is top notch. I think a lot of indie developers that are utilizing Patreon should look at this as the blueprint for communication with their community. Quick shout out to GamerSupps, clean energy, no sugar crash. You can grab free samples. You just got to pay the shipping, and you can use code BigFry for 10% off your entire cart. Pick up a shaker and grab a tub of your favorite flavor and support the channel. Now, here's the thing. The important thing to remember about Status Entropos is the game is not trying to be for everybody, right? And that's a good thing. If you want constant action, instant respawns, and the ability to solo carry every match, there are so many other titles. You can go play the Battlefields. You can go play the Call of Duties. This is probably going to be a little bit more frustrating for you, but if you miss shooters where, you know, it was about positioning and patience and teamwork actually mattering, that's at least like on paper what these guys are attempting to bring back. Whether it succeeds or not, I think is still the open question. That being said, from everything I'm seeing from these guys, I'm interested in the final product. I'm interested to see what they bring to the table because they've got a lot of really interesting mechanics here. Like the game has this ageless, like I'm going to say like timeless, but almost a little bit like low poly realism look. Like when you look at some of these weapon models and shit and the amount of customization you can do, it looks really, really cool. One of the facts that they just put out here the other day, will there be deep customization like in Escape from Tarkov, Ground Branch, etc.? And they say that's their plan. They want to focus on full functional customization, but what matters for gameplay and in the future, they want to implement advanced options for more aesthetics. I just watched their end of the year development kind of wrap up, recapping what the last 12 months have been for them. They're kind of talking about this upcoming playtest. It's one of those things where I think the game might be a little bit too early for me to jump in and go, yeah, yo, let's do this, let's do this. I think it's still too early. I am going to play it when I can, but I'm really looking forward to see what this game looks like at a 1.0 state. I really just want to stress, don't go to early access too early. If there's one thing we can leave in the 2025s in the past and do something different this year, don't fucking launch too early. Even though early access is early access, most gamers don't give a shit. And I don't want to see a game like this squander all of the potential that you can just clearly see it has by launching too early because you need the funds, and I totally get it. It's a struggle to develop and keep funding, and I get it. But squandering the potential during early access right at the beginning when people are jumping in and wanting new experiences and then realizing the game isn't in the state that it needs to be to keep people long term, it dies off, and then you have to go through that uphill climb to get the game back. Like, just don't fucking do all that. Keep cooking on it, and let's see where this game can go. It's interesting, not just because of what it is, but because of why a game like this exists. In my opinion, this is a direct response to the lack of Battlefield and I would say like the lack of hardcore FPSs in the AAA space, which is why we get the indie experiences that we do. The problem is we have a lot of people looking to jump ship on Battlefield 6 right now. It's bleeding players dry. I don't want to see another BattleBit situation where everybody looks over the fence at a game like this and goes, no, this is the next like Battlefield style game. And then the expectations rise. Then the game launches into early access. It's a little bit fucked and things just go left. I'm excited. There's a lot of ambition. There's a lot of potential, but the game right now is so fragile. And I really don't want to see them squander any potential. So we're going to keep following this game. I wish them the absolute best. This is one that's got me really excited just from a development perspective. They're doing a lot of things right from what we can see on the surface. But I think the next like 6 to 12 months is going to be the most important for this game. And I'm curious to see where it lands. Let me know what you guys think of Status Entropos down below. This is one of the first FPSs that I'm covering this year. I'm excited to see more. And if you guys want to know more games that I'm looking forward to in 2026, go check out my last video on some of the most interesting and exciting games that have my attention. As always, my name is BigFry. If you guys want to support the channel, go over to patreon.com/BigFry and support on a monthly basis. I appreciate you guys watching, and I'll see you on the next one.